We're now at the Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan in New York, which has literally become a destination on the global map. A place that almost the entire global media recognizes because of the famous resident here who owns the 58-story building. Donald Trump, who not just lives here but has his campaign headquartered here. In fact, this is where his campaign was launched from. To get a sense of what's going on inside the Trump campaign and to get a sense of why people as varied as some Indians and many Italian Americans are supporting Donald Trump, let's enter the building that has become a major global talking point because of the man who lives here and the man who might just be the next American president. All right, so we're talking here to three very eminent Donald Trump supporters with this beautiful view of New York. In fact, the camera can just go there right to the window to give us a sense of where we're standing. We're standing, of course, on the 63rd floor of the Trump Tower. And let's come back here and get a sense of what makes the people here support Donald Trump. He's very controversial. What makes you support him?
The fact that this country is going bankrupt. We are tired of politicians, and we need a businessman to straighten up the situation, or we will be bankrupt.
So you don't want a regular politician?
No. I think that politicians has done their time, and the people are tired of politicians from both sides, not just one side, both sides, and they are looking for some real good government and thing done and not just promise.
So very interesting. We're actually hearing over here that we don't want a normal politician. We want a businessman as a politician. Anand, you're somebody who actually came from India to this country. Donald Trump is seen to be anti-immigrant. What would happen to people like you if a wall actually came up, not just for Mexico, but for all immigrants like yourself, no. Right? You think that's a fair question, George?
No,
yeah.
Barka, first of all, I totally disagree with you, the statement you have made, yes, that Donald Trump is against immigrants. Out of his 3 wives, 2 wives are immigrant. And what he has been saying time and again, which unfortunately liberal media has always been twisting it and giving it a different color, is that he has been emphasizing, let's welcome legal immigrants. The waiting period they have to enter into this country from the front door is too long. Mm-hmm. As compared to that, those who come from back door illegally in this particular country, they are taking,
So you're saying he's not against immigrants, he's against illegal immigrants?
He's against illegal immigrants. On the contrary, if you see, this is a STEM, that is science, technology, engineering and math visa, which is currently 20,000. Donald Trump is saying that we should increase that visa. He says that India, especially about Indian students, he mentioned that they come here, they are brilliant students, they come here, take degrees, and when they go back to their home country and they become successful entrepreneurs there. Mm-hmm. So we should have some mechanism to keep them here. We should not let them go there. So let's absorb those brilliant students who come here to stay here.
Okay, so George, firstly, we're standing, of course, in your beautiful apartment. And I just want the camera to give us a sense of this beautiful drawing room that we're standing in. Some lovely artwork. I think that's you. Is that with the Pope?
Yeah, it's John Paul II with my book.
That's John Paul. All right, and of course I also spotted a photograph of
Dalai Lama.
of the Dalai Lama, but also one of Trump, right?
Of course.
Of course. Now we're in Trump Tower. A lot of Indians live here as well.
Yes, we have a few notable Indians: Tata Industries, Hinduja, Kemka. A lot of Indian friends, and actually Mr. Trump is very friendly with them in particular, but just with everybody else. We got Italians, got French, we got the Russians, got everybody here.
But tell me, these Trump tapes, as they've come to be called, right? So as a woman, I was concerned to hear this, what certainly appears to be a legitimization of, it's not just loose talk of actually sexual abuse. Are you comfortable with the talk on that tape?
Yes, because I know that Donald is pretty much an entertainer. I mean, if anybody watched some of the other things that he done, not just only Miss Universe, but also like the World Wrestling Federation, when he got into the fights, like the face fight. So there is a tendency for Donald to be exaggerating, just because he likes the media attention. So even those.
But I don't think he wanted those tapes to come out and get that attention. I mean, those tapes establish him as as a misogynist and as someone who's an anti-woman.
Yeah, but well, that depends how you see it, because I think that he was aware of the tape being taped, so it wasn't really what it looks like, some kind of secret stuff in some dark room or anything like that. He was aware that there was a tape, and the person that was doing was actually an entertainer.
That's a new twist, because so far everybody's actually thought that these tapes actually came out. So I want to go back to Leonardo here. You said you want a businessman to lead America, but really? I mean, shouldn't business and politics be separate?
Sometimes you need business. You cannot go bankrupt. At this point where we are now, we are going bankrupt. We cannot spend more of what come in. And that is the situation. And so many things has been distorted in this campaign. I'm going back to the story about the lady. The first lady that came up accusing him, Mrs. Macundo, okay? If you just take her name, you go on Google, okay? And after her name, you type porno on Google, all her porno movies are coming out.
But that still doesn't give the right of someone to abuse her, right? Whether she's...
He did not abuse it. He did not, you see, she accused, but was not proved. And he claimed he never did. But look, from where is coming the accuse. The accuse is coming from somebody who is participating, is making her life on porno movie.
But are you concerned?
Is that something that, can be material?
Are you concerned, because all three of you are men, and I'm actually seeing George skulk off there. We have to turn the camera there and see what George is up to. Why are you skulking off there?
I think that's, the important things are not this kind of, frankly speaking, ridiculous accusations.
So what's the central issue for you?
The central issue from day one was jobs. It's not so much the economy as much as jobs. When Donald came out and says, well, I want to build a wall, and he still talks about it, and everybody cheers, has nothing to do with immigration. Has to do with jobs. When you have Americans that work for $15 an hour and all of a sudden they see their jobs being taken by some very poor guy that I love, we respect them. I mean, they come from Ecuador or whatever, and they're working for $5 an hour, and maybe they send $2.50 to their home. All of a sudden, that community that was, relying on 1,000 people earning $15 an hour, now there is 800, with $2.50. That community goes down. What happened is that the city has no money to fix the roads. The police department does not have money.
I do think you have a point there, because a lot of people I've been talking to who are Trump supporters, there's a layer of economic resentment, certainly at the heart of their support. And, we were in Philadelphia and we saw a lot of that, of factories that had shut down, of people who are worried about their future. So do you think economics is at the heart of this?
Absolutely. Number one is economics. The wall is about jobs. The things about, having tariffs and everything else with other countries, commerce and everything is about jobs and about bringing jobs back to America. Just about every single item, even the corruption items, is about jobs, because when you have corruption in any country, then what happens is that economically that country is going to go down to hell.
So Anand, I want to bring you in, because a lot of Indian Americans do support the Democrats, right? Traditionally, I'm not even talking about candidates, I'm talking about parties. And that continues to be the case. So what makes you stand apart? And the other question I have to ask you is, you of course identify yourself as Indian Americans for Trump. You're a lawyer. But there are others who identify themselves as the Republican Hindu coalition. India is not just Hindus. Are you uncomfortable with that kind of nomenclature by some groups?
Yes, those are fringe groups. Say, for example, there is Muslim Americans for Trump, also headed by a Pakistani based in Washington, D.C.
Interesting.
So there are fringe groups, but see, Indian Americans for Trump, we have a registered PAC, it's a political action committee. Most of those groups, they are not even registered. So that's one big difference. But coming back to I'm just reminded of one thing when we are talking of this immigration, right? Economy is one issue. Just like in India, we say make in India. Now Modi is saying that make in India. Same way Donald Trump is saying make in America. So philosophically, if you see policy's point of view, India's Prime Minister and Donald Trump's basically policies are the same.
You
But,
find them similar?
in certain ways.
For example, one example?
So
You mean make in India and make in
make in
America,
India.
that keep manufacturing at home.
Right.
Keep jobs at home, keep manufacturing at home.
Right.
Okay.
But Barka, I tell you, about 2 years back, I wrote a paper. It's a published paper, and the title of my paper is, I'll give you a copy of that also, Slavery in America, the Dark Side of Immigration Reforms. Though slavery was abolished in this country under 13th Amendment, if you say, it says that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall be permitted in the country. But when we talk of illegal immigrants, they are being treated as involuntary servitudes here. So when,
And what is true is that what you are saying is 100% correct also in Europe. What you have is you don't have any more right and left. That is gone out the window.
So it's interesting you say that, because I actually met Sanders supporters who now are talking about supporting Trump.
Absolutely.
So the right and left collapses right there.
I have Citizens for Trump. I have another 500 groups for Trump, about 5 million people. And a lot of Sanders supporters are coming over for Trump. Why? Because it's for the people. Instead of left and right, now including Europe, you're seeing the parties being divided between populist and elitist. So you have the elite, the people that want to maintain their power and actually enslave the majority of the people, on both sides, concentrating their power on one side, and the populist movement on the other side. So you're going to see what you see today in America, but you're seeing also in Europe, people like Trump and Sanders actually coming with very similar programs.
That is interesting. Yes, Leonardo.
Also because the first victim of illegal immigration, believe it or not, are the African American.
Why do you say that?
Because, unfortunately, in the job scale, they are the people who have the lower kind of job, or the manual job. So what is happening, they are the people that go for, $10, $15 an hour. Now, the Mexican, and use Mexican as, just somebody south of the border, can be anybody from Central or South America. Come here. The guy is desperate. The guy has nothing. The guy will work for $5 an hour instead of 10. And here, who is going to lose? The guy who's a citizen, who is paying taxes. So this movement, anti-immigration, is not a movement of elite. It's a popular movement. And when Trump talks about immigration, he's completely in favor of legal immigration. When I came over in this country, I was the captain of a passenger ship.
Really? When did you come in?
76.
Wow, a captain of a passenger ship. Fascinating. And where were you coming in from?
I was coming from around the world. Well, at that time I was living in Italy, and I decided to come here. I met my wife. That is another story. But the point I'm trying to do is this one, that when my wife and we decided to get married, we made a fiancé visa, what at that time was called a fiancé visa. We had to show to the American government, and here I'm coming with my master ticket, with a job, with everything, But I had to show to the American government that I had enough to support myself without going in a social system for at least 6 months. Otherwise, it was not giving to me a permission. This is the immigration that I'm talking about that has to be legalized. Like, you Indians have a big problem. Because in this country, we need your brain, because your guys are very good in math, you're very good in science, and unfortunately, with our school system destroyed again by the Democrat, with the tenure system. You cannot fire a teacher after 3 years. He can be the worst teacher of the world.
So you want regularized immigration? That's what
Regularized immigration, and people like the Indian that have this kind of skills, they should be allowed to come here and contribute to this country.
So that's a very interesting point. I have to ask you in the end, do you believe the arithmetic of the Electoral College, George, goes against Trump's chances, because he'd have to win all the battleground states?
I think that we will. I'm pretty confident we will, and there's going to be some very big surprises. So
that's exactly what I was going to say, because this time it's very difficult to predict, because a lot of blue states now, they are leaning towards red, and they are so a lot of toss-up states, and it's totally. Earlier we used
It's unpredictable. Okay, now I do one thing in this program. I ask everybody I speak to use one word to describe both candidates, right? Any word that comes to mind to describe both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, but it has to be one word. So I'll start with you. One word for Hillary Clinton?
Not trustworthy.
Okay, those were two words, but we'll go with it. Donald Trump? Untrustworthy. Donald Trump?
Trustworthy.
Hillary?
Hillary crooked.
You're going with Donald Trump's language, yes?
So you said only one
Sure.
word. So
and Trump?
Trump, I believe, is a visionary.
Visionary. Leonardo.
I agree with the Trump as a visionary. For what concern Hillary, well,
Be polite.
yes, I'm trying to be polite, but I would not like to go to deep look inside their past or a future and untrusted. I cannot trust that women. Too many clouds.
Can I change my statement? So Hillary Clinton, you don't want me to use Donald Trump's language, crooked, so I'll say corrupt.
All right. So a diametrically opposite perspective from the Hillary supporters that we've been talking to, Leonardo, Anand, George, on the 63rd floor of the Grand Trump Tower, still betting on a Trump victory.